I will take nothing and no one for granted. I will run with heart, and I will run to win.
This is going to be an election that's based on competence, because people are tired of these nice people, and they're tired of being ripped off by everybody in the world.
Jeb Bush and Donald Trump now officially in this week, declaring that they are indeed running for president. But how will their announcements change the dynamic of the choice at hand? Let's turn to Newsmax chief political columnist and White House correspondent John Gizzi, who joins us from Newsmax Washington. John, it's good to have you back with us. So, Jeb and the Donald in the race. Your assessment of what these two bring to the campaign?
Well, I think the Republican National Committee is going to have to get about a two-story stage to host the debates with all the candidates that are getting in. In the sense of Jeb Bush, one has a candidate with a famous name and fundraising prowess, albeit a little bit short of the expectations. In Donald Trump, one has someone with the check-writing prowess and business acumen, but who lacks a resume in the public arena. I might add that Donald Trump has threatened to run for president in 2 quadrennial contests before, and he's finally pulling the trigger. One has to wonder why he's doing it when the field is so crowded instead of doing it in past years when someone like him might have been needed. So it certainly adds a lot of interest to what is already clearly the most interesting presidential contest of my reporting career.
And John, you've been out and about in Washington today, and you report that someone who is not yet officially a candidate, my old House colleague John Kasich, is attracting some attention.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that, because John Kasich kindly gave my colleague Jolie Friedman, herself an Ohio State University graduate, and me some private time on Friday afternoon. This was at the Road to Majority Conference. Simply put, John Kasich will probably announce in July, although he would not make that official, someone who has been occupied with cutting taxes and making budgets in both the House and governorship, talked about foreign policy today. He thinks it would be very, very ugly if Greece sought a bailout from Russia, as it's financially strapped right now. He called for a better relationship with Israel and said, just remember, there are dear friends in the Middle East and don't cause them embarrassment. He called for tougher sanctions and continued sanctions against Iran. And he also said that we must be firm with Vladimir Putin and make sure he doesn't use energy for blackmail. That certainly sounds like someone who's a candidate, but he wouldn't give me a date or time yet.
Well, we take a look at one poll, and in Ohio, he is ahead of Democratic frontrunner Hillary Clinton. We'll see about that. John, speaking of polls, according to the results of our own Newsmax non-scientific poll, Ted Cruz is out front with 18%, followed by Ben Carson at 15%, Jeb Bush, Mike Huckabee, Scott Walker, all at 5%, Rick Perry, a guest on this show, at 2%, and Donald Trump having yet to register in that poll. Your quick take on that, sir?
My quick take is what James Baker, our former Secretary of State, once said: overnight is an eternity in politics. At this point, polls conducted on a presidential race in which some candidates may not make it to the starting gate and others may yet get in are really not polls that can determine anything. They're a snapshot of what's happening. Ben Carson and Ted Cruz are among the best speakers in the field, and every time they make an appearance that's televised, they get more votes. Hopefully, they'll make some of those appearances on Newsmax TV, which Ben Carson's press secretary promised me today.
Well, you see, John Gizzi, you're a man not only of noteworthy reporting, but you secure solid commitments, and you also gain audiences exclusively with candidates who have yet to announce. In short, sir, you're the great intrepid reporter I remember from my days on Capitol Hill, and we thank you very much for your time. John Gizzi on the week that was and what's ahead in Washington, D.C. That'll do it for tonight. See you Monday. Until then, stay brave, stay free, stay tuned.